I have a plan that can rekindle some life out of the Star Wars franchise, and it involves the best and so far underutilized character, Grand Admiral Thrawn. The first key is to break away from what has already been failing. You don't need to remember that Star Wars has been on a downward trajectory. Each movie declined in box office to the point where they stopped making them. The Savior TV shows have seen their ratings diminish with each passing series. There's only so much cuteness you can pull from Baby Yoda, and the well of nostalgia from Ahsoka has run dry. I mean, this was it. After this, there's nothing left. The way forward would be a full-fledged series centered around Thrawn. His appearance in Ahsoka would be just the tease. The key to this is that it takes a completely different tactic. Sort of like how The Mandalorian took a character who was unrelated to the main Star Wars story and centered the show around him. This series can take the best adversary left in canon and put him front and center. It's not just that the show revolves around Thrawn, but actually tells the story from his point of view. He's the main character and hero of the story. The inspiration goes a little back to the original TIE Fighter game from the 90s. In that game, for the first time, you were flying for the Empire. Before that, you always played for the Rebels, the other side of the story. It was unique and great. Also worth noting, that game had the very first appearance of Grand Admiral Thrawn outside of his original novels.
Admiral Thrawn, I am promoting you to Grand Admiral for your obedient service to the Empire. You will join my inner circle of 12 Grand Admirals who will command all Imperial forces for the glory of the Empire.
Telling the story from the Empire's perspective never really made any sense before because Lucas clearly established the Sith as the embodiment of evil. However, Thrawn offers a different entry point into this dichotomy. His motivations for even serving the Empire were entirely different. He wasn't out to rule the galaxy, but to just serve his own people. So his motivations are unique, maybe even sensible in some matters. Consider how dysfunctional the New Republic already is. Generals steal ships and defy orders without consequence. Something like that wouldn't sit well with him. We get an introspective Imperial side of the story. How about some backstory on Captain Pellaeon, and maybe how they became acquainted? Is there more as to why he so fully believes in Grand Admiral Thrawn as the future for the Empire and the galaxy? The character motivations would add to the overall tension. At this point in the story, the Empire is in a precarious spot. They've been run down and mostly run out. The New Republic has the momentum and the power, the shipyards and the resources. The way the Empire comes back from the brink isn't with brute strength or some heretofore never heard of super weapon star killer whatever. It's with brains and cunning. Now is where a military genius can lead them to victory. It has to be believable. So often you can see the writer's hand. Characters make dumb decisions because it's convenient for the plot. We need real thought into these story decisions. We have to see him outthink and outmaneuver the Republic officers and gain the upper hand. The shit in Ahsoka didn't do him justice. Frankly, Thrawn was better written in that 90s TIE Fighter game. He studied his adversary.
I have studied Zarin's ways and have discovered a weakness in his reliance on technology. When our newest starfighter is completed, our forces will strip Zarin of his technological advantage.
Recognized his desire to embrace advanced technology and used that to set a trap that would ultimately kill him.
Once again he evaded Thrawn's grasp. I knew I would be able to beat that.
It was cool and felt exactly like what Thrawn would do. Instead, Dave Filoni had him constantly losing while proclaiming victory. Like, what the fuck? We deserve better. Now, just as any show always features the bad guys, the Thrawn show would also have characters from the Republic working to stop him. This isn't the best time to bring out the OG characters, even if they could. Instead, the show would probably mostly use the cast from Ahsoka and whoever else is lying around. For example, General Hera would be a great adversary, and it would be cool to bring Admiral Akbar into the fray. I would like to see Akbar and Thrawn square off, with maybe Thrawn just getting the best of it from a very worthy opponent. There could also be tension between Akbar and the General Hera over the best strategy. Maybe the supposed General Hera could defy orders yet again, something Thrawn knows she would do, and she gets her ass handed to her. She dies in a fight in the most worthless, stupid way, which is suitable for her character. It sure would be cool to see her die, and add some extra emotional depth, and frees up her son for interesting storylines in the future. If this is the Jason we got, we may as well make him into something a little better. Also, you get the impression he's gonna run into some Force-sensitive girl named Jaina, who instead of being his sister will become his girlfriend for some teen romance or whatever. Goodness, I hate what's become of all this. Anyway, it could ultimately set up Dave Filoni's Mandoverse movie. That would open with the New Republic in a vicarious spot as Thrawn is taking over. Then maybe we can bring in Luke Skywalker and other actual heroes to save the day. See, now here we reversed it back. Thrawn has his reasons, but he's still the ultimate bad guy. He is a threat to everything Luke and Leia and Han work so hard to build. Now, you still can't trust Filoni to write the character well. He'd probably come up with the idea of having General Jar Jar Binks be the one to take Thrawn out. You may laugh, but I wouldn't put it past him. It's the sort of thing these creative types would think of. Besides, Jar Jar hasn't been back yet. A big question for any show would be, what is the creative force behind it? Dave Filoni has proven he can't write Thrawn. The Grand Admiral Thrawn in Ahsoka was stupid and gamma. God, that was so frustrating. We need to see his intelligence in action. He's a genius, so let's see it. I do believe a co-executive producer must be Timothy Zahn himself. He's had an accomplished writing career, but has never actually been a screenwriter, so I can see why there'd be some hesitation to give him complete control. But even as a co-showrunner, he could be instrumental in developing the story and plot details. To write great intelligence requires great intelligence, and that is something in short supply over at Disney. You can't have stupid people writing really smart people, it doesn't work. So it's the sad truth that no one else can be trusted to write Thrawn authentically. Plus, honestly, Timothy Zahn has done immense good for Lucasfilm in the Star Wars saga for decades now. Maybe rewarding him with a show like this isn't such a bad idea. Thrawn is his baby. He won't mess him up. Ultimately, one show, no matter how good, can't fully revive Star Wars. The sequel trilogy will forever remain there. The bad decisions are canon now and can't be reversed. However, there is a new direction the series could take that would be relevant and exciting for audiences, provided, of course, it's done well. If Disney is smart, they'll follow this advice. I'll see you at the next watch party.